The gallery opening is exactly the kind of event I usually avoid. Too many people with too much money, admiring art they don't understand while drinking champagne that costs more than my monthly rent. But my best friend Claire had begged, and I owed her for covering my shifts at the bookstore last month when I had the flu. So here I am, nursing sparkling water and trying to look like I belong among Chicago's elite in a dress Claire insisted I borrow. It's beautiful midnight blue silk that flows like water, but it's not mine. Nothing here is mine. That piece speaks to the commodification of human connection in late-stage capitalism. A voice says beside me. I turn to find a man studying the same abstract painting I've been pretending to understand. He's tall, well over 6 feet, with dark hair silvered at the temples and features that look carved from marble. His suit probably costs more than my car, and he wears it with the casual confidence of someone who's never had to think about money. Does it? I ask, looking back at what appear to be random paint splatters. I thought it was just about chaos. His laugh is genuine and warm, honest, refreshing. He extends his hand. Matthias Cade, Elena Russo. I shake his hand and notice the calluses that seem at odds with the expensive suit. Not soft hands. Hands that have worked at something. Russo, he repeats, and something flickers in his eyes. Italian? 3rd generation. My great-grandparents came through Ellis Island. I take a sip of water. You? Mixed heritage. German and Welsh, mostly. His smile doesn't quite reach his eyes. Tell me, Elena Russo, what brings you to an event you clearly don't want to attend? I should be offended, but he's right. That obvious? You've been standing in the same spot for 20 minutes, haven't touched the champagne, and you're wearing borrowed shoes. He nods toward my feet. They're half a size too small. You keep shifting your weight. Heat rises in my cheeks. I didn't realize I was being studied. Observing, not studying. There's a difference. He gestures toward a quieter corner of the gallery. Walk with me? Those shoes look painful. I should decline. Should make an excuse and find Claire, who's disappeared somewhere with the artist she's been flirting with all evening. Instead, I follow this stranger who notices the borrowed shoes and doesn't make me feel small for wearing them. We walk slowly through the gallery, and he's easy to talk to in a way that surprises me. He asks questions about my work at the bookstore, about the degree in art history I'd abandoned halfway through when the money ran out, and about my life in a way that feels genuinely curious rather than polite. What about you? I ask as we stop before a painting that actually moves me, something abstract but emotional. What do you do? Import-export, he says smoothly. Family business. Less interesting than it sounds. Everything sounds interesting when you don't know the details. I study the painting. The way red bleeds into black. It's the details that make things boring or beautiful. Philosophy from a bookstore clerk. Former art history student, I correct. We're trained to find meaning in everything. His phone buzzes, and I see his expression shift as he reads the message. The easy warmth disappears, replaced by something harder, colder. I need to make a call, he says. Will you wait? Just 5 minutes. I should find my friend, please. The word is soft, almost urgent. 5 minutes, Elena. I promise it's important. There's something in his eyes, some intensity that makes me nod. He disappears toward the gallery's private offices, and I'm left wondering what just happened. I don't wait 5 minutes. I wait 3 before my curiosity gets the better of me. I follow the direction he went, telling myself I'm just looking for a bathroom, not actually pursuing a stranger through a gallery. The voices reach me before I see anything. Low, urgent, angry. I don't care what your timeline is. Matthias's voice, but different. Commanding, dangerous. The shipment arrives Tuesday, and if your people aren't ready to receive it, that's your problem. Mr. Cade, with respect. You don't get to talk about respect. Ice in every word. You're 3 weeks late on payment. 3 weeks. In my business, that's an insult that gets people killed. I should leave. I should turn around and walk away and forget I heard anything. But I'm frozen, listening to this man who'd been charming and warm transform into someone else entirely. Tuesday, Matthias says. Cash, the full amount plus the late fee we discussed. And if you ever make me wait again, we won't be having a conversation. We'll be having a funeral. Footsteps. Coming toward me. I turn quickly. walking back toward the gallery proper, my heart hammering. Import-export. Family business. The euphemisms click into place with sickening clarity. Matthias appears moments later, his expression smooth again, the dangerous edge carefully hidden. But I've heard it now. Can't unhear it. Sorry about that, he says easily. Business never sleeps. Where were we? I should make an excuse. Should find Claire and leave and forget this entire encounter. Instead, I hear myself say, import-export. Is that what we're calling it? His eyes sharpen, and I see the exact moment he realizes I heard something I shouldn't have. The air between us changes, becoming charged with a different kind of tension. Elena, I should go. I start to move past him, but his hand catches my arm. Gentle but firm. Wait, please. He releases me immediately when I tense. I can explain. You don't owe me an explanation. We just met. I'm nobody. You're not nobody. He steps closer, and I should back away, but I don't. And I do owe you an explanation, because I'm about to ask you something important. I can't imagine what marry me. The words land like a physical blow. I actually laugh, the sound sharp and disbelieving. What? Not really, pretend. He's not smiling. I need a wife temporarily for business purposes. You need money. I saw the past due notices in your bag when you set it down. Horror floods through me. You looked through my bag? The bag fell open. I saw without looking. He pulls out a business card and writes something on the back. $1 million. 6 months of your time. Simple arrangement. Clearly defined terms. You're insane. I'm desperate. The honesty in his voice stops me from walking away. I need someone who's not connected to my world, who can play a role convincingly. You need money for what I'm guessing are medical bills, based on the hospital billing statements. My mother's cancer treatments. The debt that's drowning me, that made me drop out of school, that keeps me working 2 jobs and still falling behind. Why me? I whisper. Because you're authentic. Because in the world I operate in, everyone is performing all the time. You don't know how. He pockets his phone. Because you heard something you shouldn't have, and instead of trying to use it as leverage, you tried to leave. This is crazy. Completely. He extends his hand again, offering the card. Think about it. That's my private number. Call me if you're interested in discussing terms. I take the card, though I tell myself I'm going to throw it away the moment I'm alone. One condition, Matthias says as I turn to leave. If you agree, if we do this, you have to trust me completely. No questions about my business, no investigating, no trying to be more involved than the role requires. Why would I agree to that? His eyes hold mine, dark and honest and dangerous. Because the less you know, the safer you are. And despite what you might think after hearing that phone call, I don't want you in danger. I find Claire 20 minutes later, make excuses about not feeling well, and escape into the Chicago night. The card burns in my clutch, Matthias's number a promise and a threat in equal measure. At home in my tiny studio apartment, I look at the stack of bills on my kitchen counter. Medical debt, student loans, rent that's due in a week. The numbers that define my life, that keep me trapped in a cycle I can't escape. $1 million, 6 months. Pretend to be his wife. I should tear up the card. Should forget this entire insane encounter. Instead, I add Matthias Cade's number to my phone and lie awake all night thinking about impossible. Choices in the price of desperation. I make it 3 days before I call him. 3 days of staring at bills I can't pay, of phone calls from debt collectors I can't answer, of watching my mother pretend she's not in pain because she knows I'm already drowning in the cost of keeping her alive. 3 days of telling myself this is insane. That I can't possibly agree to pretend to marry a man who's clearly involved in something criminal, that there has to be another way. But there isn't another way. I've exhausted every option, applied for every assistance program, and worked every shift I can physically manage. The math doesn't work. It will never work. My mother will die because I can't afford to save her, and I'll spend the rest of my life buried under debt for treatments that weren't enough. So on Thursday evening, after my shift at the bookstore ends and before my overnight inventory job at the warehouse begins, I sit in my car in the parking lot and dial the number on Matthias Cade's card. He answers on the second ring. Elena? Not a question. He knew it was me. probably has my number saved already and probably expected this call. I want to hear the terms, I say, skipping past pleasantries. Everything. Complete transparency before I agree to anything. Smart. I hear movement, a door closing, and background noise fading. Are you free now? This conversation should happen in person. I have work in 2 hours. I'll make it quick. Where are you? I give him the address and he tells me to wait. 15 minutes later, a black town car pulls into the parking lot, and Matthias steps out wearing dark jeans and a charcoal sweater. Casual, but the fabric still screams expensive. He slides into my passenger seat, and suddenly my beat-up Honda feels even smaller. Thank you for calling, he says. I haven't agreed to anything. I know, but you're here, which means you're considering it. He shifts to face me, and in the confined space I'm very aware of him. The breadth of his shoulders, the clean scent of his cologne, the intensity of his focus. Ask me anything. I'll answer honestly. Why do you need a fake wife? Because the people I do business with value family, tradition, and stability. A single man in his late 30s raises questions, suggests either instability or hidden preferences they might find objectionable. His jaw tightens. I've lost contracts because the men I'm negotiating with don't trust someone who hasn't settled down. So get actually married. To whom? Women in my world know what I am and what I do. They want the arrangement for status or money. That creates complications, expectations, and emotional entanglements that become liabilities. He pulls out his phone and shows me a photo of an older man with severe features and an expensive suit. This is Konstantin Volkov, Russian businessman, very traditional, very powerful. I'm negotiating a partnership that will expand my operations significantly. He's invited me to his daughter's wedding next month, and he specifically asked if I'd be bringing my wife. You told him you had one? I implied I was married, yes, before I realized he'd expect to meet her. Matthias pockets the phone. I need someone who can play the role convincingly for 6 months. Long enough to secure this deal and several others that depend on my appearing stable and settled. And after 6 months? Quiet divorce. You keep the money, we part ways, and I'm established enough with these new partnerships that my marital status becomes less relevant. He meets my eyes. You walk away with enough money to pay your mother's medical bills and start your life over. I get the business relationships I need. Clean, simple. Nothing about this is simple. No, he agrees, but it's mutually beneficial. I stare through the windshield at the bookstore where I make $12 an hour, at the life I'm barely surviving. What would I have to do? Specifically, attend events with me, business dinners, social gatherings, the Volkov wedding, act appropriately affectionate in public, and answer basic questions about our relationship consistently. He counts off on his fingers. Live in my home for the duration, and maintain the appearance of a marriage to anyone who might be watching. Live with you. In a separate bedroom with complete privacy. The house is large enough that we'd rarely see each other if you prefer it that way. His voice softens slightly. I'm not asking for anything physical, Elena. This is a performance, not a real relationship. But people will see what we show them. A couple that's comfortable together, that has chemistry, that appears genuinely married. The rest is none of their business. I process this, trying to find the trap, the hidden clause that makes this more than he's saying. What about your family? Won't they know it's fake? Something dark crosses his face. I don't have family. Not anymore. My parents are dead, and I have no siblings or close relatives who would question the arrangement. I'm sorry. Don't be. It's ancient history. He shifts gears smoothly. Businessman again. You'd need to sign a comprehensive NDA. Everything you see, hear, or learn about my business stays confidential. Violation of that agreement would have serious legal consequences. Legal being the polite word for something else. His smile is sharp. I meant what I said, Elena. I don't want you in danger. The NDA is enforced through legitimate legal channels, not threats. I'm not going to hurt you for breaking the contract. I'll just sue you for everything you have. Which would be nothing since I'm broke. Then I'd suggest not breaking the contract. He pulls out a folder I hadn't noticed him carrying. I had my attorney draft preliminary terms. Take it, read it, and have a lawyer review it if you want. Take a week to decide. I open the folder and scan the first page. The numbers leap out at me. $1 million paid in 2 installments. Half upon signing, half at the completion of 6 months. All living expenses covered. Health insurance for me and my mother. A settlement bonus if I complete the arrangement without breach of contract. This is too much, I whisper. It's exactly enough for what I'm asking. His voice is firm. You're giving me 6 months of your life, your privacy, your safety. You're risking association with someone whose business isn't entirely legal. That's worth compensation. Why are you being so honest about the illegal parts? Because you already know? He gestures to the folder. And because I need you to go into this with clear eyes. I won't lie to you about what I am, Elena. I run operations that exist in gray areas, and some that are definitively black. I do business with dangerous people. If you agree to this, you'll be seen as mine, which means you'll be under my protection, but also potentially a target for my enemies. You're really selling this. I say dryly. I'm being realistic. He reaches over and gently closes the folder. I need you to understand the risks because I need you to be sure. If you sign this and then panic halfway through, if you make mistakes because you're scared or uncertain, it endangers both of us. I look at him. This stranger who's offering me an impossible solution to impossible problems. What's your one condition? You mentioned it at the gallery. His expression shifts and becomes serious. If you agree to this, you trust me completely. No questions about where I go or what I do. No investigating my business. No trying to understand the full scope of my operations. You play the role I need, and you stay deliberately ignorant of everything else. Why? Because knowledge is dangerous in my world. Because the less you know, the less you can be used by people who might want to hurt me. He touches my hand briefly, the contact warm. And because I'm already breaking my own rules by bringing someone innocent into my life. The least I can do is keep you as safe as possible. The honesty undoes me. I've spent 3 days trying to find the angle, the manipulation, the way this is too good to be true. But maybe it's exactly what it appears to be. A business arrangement between 2 desperate people. I need to think about it, I say finally. Of course. He opens the car door, then pauses. Elena, whatever you decide, thank you for listening, for considering it. I know what I'm asking is unreasonable. Everything about this is unreasonable. Yes. But reasonable options don't solve unreasonable problems. He steps out, then leans back in. Call me when you decide. Whatever that decision is. I watch him return to his town car and watch it pull away into Chicago traffic. Then I sit alone with a folder full of contracts and the weight of an impossible choice. At home that night, after my warehouse shift, exhausted and aching, I spread the contract across my tiny kitchen table. Read every word, every clause, every protection, and every penalty. It's thorough, professionally drafted, and surprisingly fair. The money is real. The terms are clear. The exit conditions are defined. My mother calls as I'm reading it for the 3rd time. Her voice is tired, thin with pain she's trying to hide. How are you feeling? I ask. Good, sweetheart. The new medication is helping. The lie is obvious. The new medication we can barely afford isn't helping enough. How was work? Fine. Busy. I look at the contract. Mom, if you could have anything, what would it be? She's quiet for a moment. More time with you, Elena, that's all. Just more time. Time we won't have if I can't pay for treatments. Time that's slipping away while I drown in debt and impossible choices. After we hang up, I look at the contract one more time. Then I pick up my phone and type a message to Matthias Cade. I'll do it. When do we start? His response comes immediately. Tomorrow. I'll send a car at noon. Bring whatever you want to keep. Everything else we'll provide. I sit in my apartment that smells like mildew and old cooking, surrounded by furniture from thrift stores and a life that's never quite worked, and I wonder if I've just saved myself or sold myself. Tomorrow, I become someone's pretend wife. Tomorrow, everything changes. The car that arrives at noon is not the town car from yesterday. It's a sleek black SUV with tinted windows and a driver who introduces himself as Thomas. He's in his late 40s, polite but distant, and he loads my 2 suitcases and 3 boxes with an efficiency that suggests he's done this before. Is that everything, Miss Russo? He asks. I look back at my studio apartment, at the life I'm leaving behind. The second-hand couch, the IKEA bookshelf sagging with paperbacks, The kitchen table where I've cried over bills more times than I can count. None of it is worth keeping. That's everything, I confirm. The drive takes us north, away from my neighborhood of crumbling buildings and check-cashing stores, through progressively nicer areas, until we're in a part of Chicago I've only seen in magazines. Tree-lined streets, historic mansions set back behind iron gates, the kind of wealth that whispers instead of shouts. Thomas turns down a private drive and stops at a gate that opens automatically. The house beyond makes my breath catch. It's not the biggest mansion on the street, but it's beautiful. 3 stories of red brick and white columns, ivy climbing the eastern wall, windows that gleam in the afternoon sun. The lawn is immaculate, the garden still showing late-season color. It looks like something from a different century, carefully preserved and maintained. "We're here," Thomas says unnecessarily. The front door opens before we reach it, and Matthias emerges. He's dressed casually again, in jeans and a navy sweater, but he still carries that presence that makes spaces feel smaller. Behind him, a woman in her 60s appears, her gray hair pulled back in a neat bun, wearing what looks like a housekeeper's uniform. "Elena." "Welcome." Matthias descends the steps, and for a moment I think he might embrace me, but he just gestures toward the house. "This is Mrs. Chen. She manages the household." Mrs. Chen offers a warm smile. "Welcome, Miss Russo. I've prepared the east bedroom for you. I hope you'll find it comfortable." "Thank you," I manage, feeling completely out of my depth. Thomas brings my boxes inside, and I follow Matthias through a foyer that could fit my entire apartment. Marble floors, a curved staircase, and artwork that's probably original and definitely expensive. Everything is beautiful, elegant, and completely intimidating. "I know this is overwhelming," Matthias says, catching my expression, "but you'll adjust quickly. Mrs. Chen will show you around and get you settled. We'll talk this evening about next steps." Mrs. Chen leads me upstairs, her steps quiet on the thick carpet. The east bedroom is at the end of a long hallway, and when she opens the door, I actually freeze. It's enormous. A 4-poster bed with cream linens, antique furniture that looks like it belongs in a museum, and windows overlooking the garden. There's a sitting area with a couch and chair, a writing desk, and built-in bookshelves already filled with books. "The closet is here," Mrs. Chen says, opening a door to reveal a space larger than my old bedroom. "And the bathroom is through there. I took the liberty of stocking some basics, but if you need anything else, just let me know." The bathroom has a clawfoot tub, a separate shower with 3 shower heads, and marble countertops. Luxury products line the shelves, everything high-end and unused. "This is too much," I whisper. "Mr. Cade wanted you to be comfortable." Mrs. Chen's smile is kind. "You're going to be living here for 6 months, dear. Might as well enjoy it." She leaves me alone to unpack, and I stand in the middle of this beautiful room, feeling like an imposter. My 2 suitcases and 3 boxes look pathetic against all this space. Everything I own fits in a corner of the closet. I'm hanging up the few nice clothes I have when someone knocks. A young woman enters, maybe my age, with bright eyes and an easy smile. "Hi, I'm Sophie, Mr. Cade's assistant. He asked me to take you shopping this afternoon if you're up for it." "Shopping?" "For clothes, shoes, and accessories. Everything you'll need for the next 6 months." She pulls out her phone and shows me a list. "We have events coming up and you'll need appropriate outfits. Mr. Cade said to get whatever you want, no budget restrictions." This feels surreal. "I don't need part of the arrangement," Sophie interrupts gently. "You can't attend a $50,000 a plate charity gala in borrowed shoes. No offense." She'd said it kindly, but the reminder still stings. "This is a role I'm playing, and I need the costume to match." "Okay," I agree. "Let's go shopping." The next 4 hours are a blur. Sophie takes me to boutiques I've only walked past, never dared to enter. Personal shoppers materialize, pulling dresses and suits and casual wear, building a wardrobe from nothing. I try on clothes that cost more than I used to make in a month and watch Sophie approve purchases with Matthias's black card without flinching. Evening gowns for galas, cocktail dresses for dinners, business casual for daytime events, and designer jeans for casual appearances. Shoes, bags, and jewelry. Everything I might need to look like someone who belongs in Matthias Cade's world. "You have good taste," Sophie says, as I emerge from a dressing room in a jade green dress that fits perfectly. That's the one for the Volkov wedding. Elegant but not trying too hard. How do you know about the wedding? I organize Mr. Cade's schedule, book his travel, and coordinate his events. She approves the dress and adds it to the growing pile. I know everything about his professional life and nothing about his personal one. That's how this works. There's a message there, a boundary being established. Sophie is friendly but not my friend. She works for Matthias and serves his interests, and I should remember that. By the time we return to the house, I'm exhausted. The SUV is loaded with shopping bags, evidence of an afternoon that cost more money than I've earned in years. Mrs. Chen helps bring everything upstairs and hangs the new clothes in my closet with the care of someone handling precious objects. When she leaves, I sit on the bed and try to process. This morning, I lived in a studio apartment with mildew problems. Tonight, I'm surrounded by luxury I can barely comprehend. Tomorrow, I'll start pretending to be married to a man I met 4 days ago. A soft knock interrupts my spiral. Elena, it's Matthias. May I come in? I open the door and he enters carrying 2 glasses of wine. He hands me one, and I notice he's changed into dress pants and a white shirt, sleeves rolled to his elbows. How are you holding up? He asks, overwhelmed, terrified, wondering if I've made a massive mistake. I sip the wine and let it warm me. Your house is beautiful. Thank you. It was my parents before they died. I've tried to maintain it the way they would have wanted. He moves to the window and looks out over the garden. I know this is a lot, Elena. The house, the clothes, the sudden change in circumstances. But I need you to understand something. What? He turns back to me and his expression is serious. Starting tomorrow, we're married. Not legally yet, but in every way that matters to the people watching. That means we need to be convincing, comfortable with each other, and able to navigate social situations as a unit. How do we do that when we barely know each other? We learn, quickly. He sets down his wine glass. I've blocked off tomorrow to brief you on everything you need to know. My background, my business connections, and our cover story for how we met. The details that make a lie believable. And the wedding? When do we actually make it legal? End of the week. Small ceremony, just paperwork really, with my attorney and Mrs. Chen as witnesses. The prenuptial agreement protects both of us and ensures the marriage dissolves cleanly after 6 months. The word marriage sends an unexpected chill through me. I knew this was the arrangement, but hearing it stated so plainly makes it real in a way it hasn't been. I'm scared, I admit quietly. Good. That means you're taking this seriously. Matthias moves closer, and there's something almost gentle in his eyes. But you're not alone in this, Elena. I know I'm asking you to trust me, to step into my world without full knowledge of what that means. But I will keep you safe. That's a promise. Why does this matter so much to you? The Volkov deal, the appearance of stability. What are you really getting out of this? He's quiet for a long moment, seeming to weigh how much to tell me. Legitimacy. My parents ran mostly legitimate businesses with some gray areas. After they died, I inherited everything, including debts to people who don't accept I'm working on it as payment. I've spent the last 15 years building the operation into something sustainable, something that could eventually transition fully legitimate. But you can't do that while you're still doing illegal things. Exactly. The Volkov partnership gives me access to legitimate supply chains and legal distribution networks. It's the bridge between what I am and what I'm trying to become. His jaw tightens. But men like Volkov, they value tradition, family, and the appearance of stability. A single man with no family looks unreliable, looks like someone with something to hide. So you need me to make you look stable. I need you to make me look human. He picks up his wine glass again. In my world, showing vulnerability is weakness. Having a wife, someone I care about, that's vulnerability. But it's also proof that I'm more than just business and violence, that I have something to lose. The honesty takes my breath away. You're telling me that pretending to care about me makes you look more trustworthy? No. I'm telling you that actually caring about your safety, your comfort, and your well-being over the next 6 months makes me more human than I've been in years. He meets my eyes. And I think that might be good for both of us. We stand there in the fading light, two strangers bound by contract and necessity, and I realize this arrangement might be more complicated than either of us anticipated. Tomorrow, Matthias says, moving toward the door. 9 a.m., meet me in my study. We start preparing for your debut as Mrs. Cade. After he leaves, I finish my wine and look around my beautiful temporary room. 6 months. That's all this is. 6 months of pretending, performing, and playing a role. I can do this. I have to do this. But as I prepare for bed in silk pajamas that appeared. At 8:45, I dress in one of my new outfits. Tailored black pants, a cream silk blouse, and low heels that actually fit. I look at myself in the full-length mirror and barely recognize the woman staring back. I look expensive, put together, like someone who might actually belong in this world. Matthias's study is on the first floor, down a hallway lined with what I'm starting to recognize as genuine art. The door is open, and I find him at a massive desk covered with papers, 2 laptops, and multiple phones. He looks up when I enter, and something shifts in his expression. You look perfect, he says, standing. How did you sleep? Better than I have in months. That bed is incredible. Good. He gestures to a leather chair across from his desk. Coffee? Mrs. Chen just brought a fresh pot. We settle in with coffee, and Matthias produces a leather folder thick with documents. Before we get into the personal history we need to build, I need you to sign the final contracts. My attorney reviewed everything and made a few adjustments based on standard prenuptial language. I scan the documents, and they're even more comprehensive than the preliminary version. Financial protections for both parties, confidentiality agreements, specific performance clauses, and dissolution terms. Everything is designed to make this arrangement clear and legally binding. There's a clause here about public behavior, I note, reading carefully. Maintaining appropriate affection in public settings. What does that mean exactly? Matthias sets down his coffee, and I see slight tension in his shoulders. It means we need to be comfortable with casual physical contact. Holding hands, my arm around you, standing close enough that we appear intimate. Nothing inappropriate, but enough that people believe we're genuinely married. Have you ever been married before? Really married? No? He stands and moves to the window overlooking the front lawn. I've had relationships, but nothing serious. Nothing that interfered with business or created complications. This is new territory for both of us. That's strangely comforting. I sign the documents, initial each page, and slide them back across the desk. What happens now? Now we build our story. He returns to his seat, pulls up a document on his laptop, and turns the screen so we can both see. This is our official history. How we met. How long we've been together. Why we kept it quiet. I read the narrative he's created, and it's surprisingly detailed. We met 18 months ago at a charity event, the same as the gallery, but in this version we actually connected. Dated quietly because I valued my privacy, and he wanted to keep me separate from his business life. Got engaged 6 months ago, married in a small private ceremony last month. This is very specific, I say. It needs to be. People will ask questions, and our answers have to match perfectly. Inconsistencies make people suspicious. He pulls out another document. This is my background, everything you need to know about my family, my education, and my business operations as I present them publicly. For the next 2 hours, we go through everything. I learn that Matthias is 38, that he studied international business at Northwestern, and that his parents died in a car accident 12 years ago. His public business is import-export, specifically European luxury goods and specialty foods. He has connections across 6 countries, serves on 2 charitable boards, and donates generously to arts organizations. Most of that is true, he says when I comment on the detail. The best lies are built on truth. I do import goods, just not always legally acquired ones. I do have European connections, just not all of them legitimate. The charity work is real because it provides cover and tax benefits. So where does the illegal part come in? His expression hardens slightly. You agreed not to ask about the specifics of my business. I agreed not to investigate. You're telling me I need to know enough to be convincing. I need to know where the line is so I don't accidentally cross it. He considers this, then nods. Fair point. The simplest version is that I facilitate transactions between parties who can't do business through traditional channels. Sometimes that's luxury goods with questionable provenance. Sometimes it's moving money for people who need it moved quietly. Sometimes it's brokering deals between organizations that operate outside legal frameworks. You're a middleman. I'm a bridge between worlds. And I'm very good at it, which is why people like Volkov want to work with me legitimately. He closes the laptop. But that's all you need to know, Elena. The rest is compartmentalized for your protection. We break for lunch, which Mrs. Chen serves in a sunlit dining room. The food is incredible, some kind of pasta with fresh vegetables and herbs, but I barely taste it. My mind is swimming with information, with the weight of the performance I'm preparing for. You're overthinking, Matthias says, watching me push food around my plate. I'm memorizing. There's a lot to remember. Then let's practice. He sets down his fork. Pretend we're at a dinner party. Someone asks how we met. What do you say? I take a breath and channel the story we've built. We met at a charity gala 18 months ago. You were there for the networking? I was there with a friend who worked for the hosting organization. You made a terrible joke about the art being overpriced, and I laughed when I should have been offended. A real smile crosses his face. That's good, natural. What happened next? You asked me to dinner. I said no because I thought you were too smooth, too polished. You persisted. Eventually I said yes because you seemed genuinely interested in what I thought, not just how I looked. And I was. He says quietly, Your intelligence is what makes this work. The compliment catches me off guard and sends warmth through my chest that I shouldn't be feeling. This is a performance, nothing more. What about the engagement? I ask, redirecting. How did you propose? Nothing dramatic. We were at home. You were reading. And I realized I didn't want to imagine my life without you in it. His eyes hold mine. Simple, honest, and completely believable, because it's the kind of proposal I would actually make if this were real. Something shifts in the air between us, becoming charged with a tension I don't know how to navigate. We should practice the physical contact, I say, my voice not quite steady. If we're going to be convincing in public. Matthias stands and extends his hand. Come here. I move around the table and he guides me to stand in front of him. We're close enough that I can see the flecks of gray in his dark eyes. Close enough that I catch the scent of his cologne mixed with coffee. In public, I'll touch you like this. His hand settles at the small of my back, warm through the silk of my blouse. Or this. His other hand finds mine, fingers lacing together. The key is looking comfortable and natural, like we do this all the time. My heart is racing and I hope he can't feel it. What if someone asks something we haven't prepared for? Then you defer to me, or you give a vague answer and change the subject. You're intelligent, Elena. You'll adapt. His thumb traces a small circle on my lower back, and I suppress a shiver. The most important thing is that you seem comfortable being touched by me. Can you do that? I force myself to relax into his hold, to let my body language match what a wife's should be. Yes, I can do that. Good. But he doesn't release me immediately. We stand there, too close, practicing intimacy that's supposed to be fake, but feels increasingly real. Sophie interrupts, knocking on the door frame. Sorry to interrupt, but the jeweler is here with the rings. Rings. Of course there would be rings. We move to the sitting room, where a distinguished older man has set up a display of wedding bands. Dozens of options in platinum, gold, diamonds, and other stones I can't identify. For the lady, the jeweler says, showing me a selection. Mr. Cade indicated you prefer simple elegance over ostentation. I glance at Matthias, surprised he's paid enough attention to know that. He just shrugs slightly. I choose a platinum band with a single row of small diamonds. Elegant, but not overwhelming. It fits perfectly and catches the light as I move my hand. And for you, sir? The jeweler asks Matthias. He selects a simple platinum band. No stones, classic and understated. When he slides it on, I'm struck by how right it looks, how permanent. Perfect, Sophie says, making notes. The ceremony is scheduled for Friday at 2 p.m. Just the four of us. Very simple. Friday. 3 days away. After the jeweler leaves, Matthias walks me through the rest of the week's schedule. Tomorrow, meetings with his attorney to finalize the prenuptial agreement. Wednesday, A private dinner with 2 of his business associates and their wives. My first real test. Thursday, final preparations. Friday, the ceremony, and then, I ask. Then we attend the Volkov wedding the following weekend, and you officially debut as my wife to the people who matter most. He checks his watch. You should rest this evening. Tomorrow will be intense. I retreat to my room, but sleep is impossible. I stand at the window watching the sun set over the garden, turning everything amber and gold, and try to process the surreal turn my life has taken. There's a knock at my door around 8. When I open it, Matthias stands there holding 2 glasses of wine. Thought you might need this, he says. Thank you. I accept the glass and step back to let him enter. Can I ask you something? Always. Do you ever regret it? The path you chose, the business you're in? He's quiet for a long moment, staring into his wine. Every day. But regret doesn't change reality. I made choices. Some forced by circumstances, some by ambition. Now I'm trying to build something better, cleaner. This arrangement with you is part of that. A step toward legitimacy. And if it doesn't work, if Volkov sees through the performance, then I find another path. He meets my eyes. But I don't think he will. You're already better at this than you realize. I'm terrified. Good. Fear keeps you sharp, keeps you careful. He sets down his glass and moves toward the door. Get some rest, Elena. The real performance starts tomorrow. After he leaves, I finish my wine and prepare for bed. The ring feels strange on my finger, weighty with implications. In 3 days, I'll legally marry a stranger. In 10 days, I'll face the people who could expose this entire charade. And somewhere in the midst of all this pretending, I'll have to remember that none of it is real. Wednesday evening arrives too quickly. I've spent the last 2 days in intensive preparation with Matthias, memorizing details, practicing responses, and learning to move through his world with the confidence of someone who belongs there. But theory is different from practice, and tonight is my first real test. The dinner is at a restaurant I've only read about in the lifestyle sections of newspapers I can't afford. The kind of place where reservations require connections, and the wine list has bottles worth more than my old car. I dress in a navy sheath dress Sophie selected, simple but elegant, with the diamond earrings Matthias gave me this morning as an early wedding gift. You look beautiful, he says when I descend the staircase. He's in a charcoal suit and crisp white shirt, and he looks every inch the successful businessman. Ready? No, but I'm as prepared as I'm going to be. His hand finds the small of my back as we walk to the car, and I'm grateful we've practiced this casual intimacy. It feels almost natural now, the way he guides me, the way I lean slightly into his touch. In the car, he briefs me one final time. Marcus and Diane Chen, married 23 years. Marcus handles shipping logistics for my import business. Diane owns a gallery in River North. Both know I operate in gray areas but don't ask questions. They're friendly but not friends. Professional distance. And I'm the wife who's been kept separate from business, I recite. Exactly. You met Diane once briefly at a charity event. You've never met Marcus. You're nervous about tonight because you've kept such a low profile until now. He takes my hand. Which is actually true, so just be yourself. The restaurant is everything I expected and more. Soft lighting, intimate tables, and waitstaff who move like dancers. The maitre d' greets Matthias by name and leads us to a private corner where a couple already waits. Marcus Chen is distinguished, in his late 50s, with the kind of presence that suggests he spent decades commanding rooms. Diane is younger, early 40s maybe, and beautiful in that effortless way that comes from good genetics and expensive maintenance. They both stand as we approach. Matthias, Marcus says, shaking hands. Good to see you. Marcus, Diane, thank you for making time. Matthias's hand moves to my back. I'd like you to meet my wife, Elena. The word wife sends a small thrill of anxiety through me. This is it. The performance starts now. Elena, it's wonderful to finally meet you properly, Diane says, her smile warm. I remember seeing you briefly at the museum benefit last spring, but we didn't get to talk. I mentally checked the timeline we'd built. Last spring would have been when Matthias and I were supposedly dating, but keeping it quiet. Yes, I remember. You were with the artist discussing the bronze sculptures. Something approving flickers in Diane's eyes. Good memory. her expression seems to say. We settle at the table, and a sommelier appears with wine recommendations. Matthias defers to Marcus, who orders something French and undoubtedly expensive. The first minutes are filled with small talk and safe topics. The weather, the restaurant's new menu, and an upcoming art exhibition. Then Diane leans forward slightly. So, Elena, you have to tell us how Matthias finally convinced you to marry him. He's been stubbornly single for as long as we've known him. This is the question we'd prepared for, but my mouth still goes dry. Matthias's hand finds mine under the table, a gentle squeeze of encouragement. He's persistent, I say, allowing a smile. I kept telling him I wasn't interested in dating someone so consumed by work. But he kept showing up, kept making time even when his schedule was impossible. She made me work for it, Matthias adds, his voice warm with manufactured affection that sounds disturbingly real. Turned me down 3 times before she agreed to dinner. Smart woman, Marcus says. Never make anything too easy. The food arrives in courses, each more elaborate than the last. I follow Diane's lead on which fork to use and which glass is for which wine. The conversation flows, and I find myself relaxing incrementally. They're asking questions, but nothing hostile. Just the normal curiosity of people meeting someone new. What do you do, Elena? Diane asks over the 3rd course. Matthias has been mysteriously vague. I work at a bookstore, I say, sticking to the truth we decided on, specializing in rare and antiquarian books. It's small, independent, and not particularly glamorous. But you love it, Matthias interjects, and there's something in his voice that makes me look at him. He's watching me with an intensity that seems beyond performance. I do. Did. I stumble slightly, remembering I'm supposed to have quit to focus on being his wife. It was hard to leave, but the hours weren't compatible with Matthias's schedule. That's a shame, Diane says, and she sounds genuinely sympathetic, though I understand. Marcus's work consumed everything until I put my foot down about boundaries. The conversation shifts to the challenges of balancing careers and relationships, and I listen more than I speak, gathering information about how people in this world navigate partnership and power dynamics. Marcus orders another bottle of wine, and as glasses are refilled, his attention turns fully to me. Elena, I hope you don't mind me saying, but you're not what I expected. My heart skips. What did you expect? Someone more polished, perhaps? Matthias operates in circles where appearance is everything. You seem refreshingly genuine. I can't tell if it's a compliment or a subtle accusation. Beside me, Matthias has gone still, alert. I'll take that as a compliment, I say carefully. I've never been very good at pretending to be something I'm not. Marcus smiles. It is a compliment. In our world, genuine is rare, valuable. He raises his glass to Matthias. You chose well, my friend. The tension breaks, and I realize I've passed some kind of test I hadn't known I was taking. Dessert arrives. Something involving chocolate and gold leaf that's almost too beautiful to eat. The conversation has shifted to business. Vague references to shipments and schedules that I politely ignore. This is the boundary Matthias established. I'm present but not involved, supportive but not curious. Elena, Diane says, drawing me into a separate conversation while the men discuss logistics. I'm hosting a small gathering next month. Very intimate, just a few couples. I'd love for you and Matthias to come. That sounds lovely, I say, genuinely meaning it. Diane is easier to talk to than I expected, less performative. Good. She lowers her voice slightly. And between us, I'm glad Matthias found you. He's been alone too long, too consumed by work. You're good for him. The statement catches me off guard because I can hear the sincerity in it. She actually believes this marriage is real, that I'm somehow transforming Matthias's life. He's good for me too, I say. And I'm surprised to find I mean it at least partially. The security he's providing, the relief from constant financial terror, the way he's been unexpectedly respectful and honest. It is good, even if it's not real. The dinner winds down after 3 hours. Matthias settles the bill with a black card, and we say our goodbyes in the restaurant's entrance. Marcus shakes Matthias's hand, then surprising me, pulls me into a brief hug. Welcome to the family, he says quietly. Take care of him. He needs someone who sees beyond the business. In the car, I exhale shakily. How did I do? Perfectly. Matthias's voice carries genuine warmth. Marcus doesn't trust easily and he trusts you. That's significant. He said, "Welcome to the family." What family? In our world, family isn't just blood. It's the people you trust with your life, your business, and your secrets. He looks at me in the dim interior. Marcus considers me family. By extension, now you are too. The weight of that settles over me. I've been absorbed into something larger than a simple arrangement. Something with loyalties and obligations I don't fully understand. Diane invited us to a gathering next month, I say. I know. She texted me while we were saying goodbye. He shows me his phone. She really likes you. That's unusual. Diane is typically suspicious of new people. Should I be worried that I'm apparently good at deceiving people? You're not deceiving. You're adapting. There's a difference. His hand finds mine again, and this time there's no audience to perform for. You were yourself tonight, Elena. That's why it worked. We arrive home, and Mrs. Chen has left tea and cookies in the kitchen. Matthias pours while I kick off the heels that have been pinching for the last hour. 2 more days until the ceremony, I say, accepting the tea. Am I allowed to be terrified? You'd be strange if you weren't. He sits beside me at the kitchen island, closer than necessary. But you've already proven you can do this. Tonight was the hard part. Tonight was dinner. The Volkov wedding will have hundreds of people, including the man this entire arrangement is designed to impress. True, but you'll have had practice by then, and you'll have me. His eyes hold mine. I meant what I said, Elena. I'll keep you safe. That includes making sure you're never in a situation you can't handle. The sincerity in his voice undoes something in my chest. Why do you care? Beyond the business arrangement, beyond needing me to play this role, why do you actually care if I'm comfortable or scared or struggling? He's quiet for a long moment, staring into his tea. When he speaks, his voice is low. Because you reminded me what it feels like to be around someone genuine. Someone who isn't calculating angles or hiding agendas. And because despite everything, despite the fact that this started as pure business, I like you, respect you, want you to be okay. That's dangerous, I whisper. For both of us, I know. He stands, putting distance between us, which is why we maintain boundaries. Remember, this is temporary. Don't let it become more complicated than the arrangement we signed. He's right. We both know he's right. But as I watch him leave the kitchen, as I sit alone with tea and the echo of his confession, I can't help thinking it's already more complicated than either of us intended. Friday will make it legal. The Volkov wedding will make it public. And somewhere in the middle of all this pretending, I'm terrified we're going to forget it's not supposed to be real. I climb the stairs to my beautiful temporary room, slip between silk sheets and stare at the ceiling. The ring on my finger catches moonlight from the window, glinting with promises I'm not sure either of us can keep. In 2 days, I become Mrs. Matthias Cade, and I have no idea if I'm ready for what that actually means. Friday morning dawns gray and drizzling, the kind of Chicago weather that matches my anxious mood. I've barely slept, my mind cycling through everything that's about to happen. In 6 hours, I'll legally marry a man I've known for less than 2 weeks. A man whose business operates in shadows, whose world I'm only beginning to understand, whose one condition was that I trust him completely without asking questions. I should be terrified. I am terrified. But there's something else underneath the fear, something I don't want to examine too closely. Mrs. Chen brings breakfast, but I can barely eat. She notices, her expression softening with what looks like maternal concern. Wedding day nerves are normal, dear, she says gently, even when it's a small ceremony. If only she knew how abnormal this entire situation is. Sophie arrives at 10 with a garment bag and a makeup artist in tow. Mr. Cade said to keep it simple but elegant, she explains, unzipping the bag to reveal a cream-colored dress. Registry office appropriate, but still special. The dress is beautiful. Knee-length silk with delicate lace at the collar and sleeves. Fitted but not tight. Expensive but understated. Exactly what someone would wear to a low-key civil ceremony. The makeup artist works quickly, enhancing rather than transforming. You have beautiful bone structure, she says, blending something along my cheekbones. Mr. Cade said natural, glowing. That's what we're going for. By 1:30, I'm dressed and ready. The woman in the mirror looks like a bride, even though this isn't a real wedding. The cream dress, the subtle makeup, the way my dark hair has been styled in soft waves. I look happy. The illusion is perfect. Matthias waits downstairs in the foyer, and when he sees me descending the staircase, something shifts in his expression. He's in a dark navy suit with a cream tie that coordinates with my dress, looking impossibly handsome and suddenly very real. "Elena," he says quietly. "You're stunning. Thank you. You clean up well yourself." The lightness in my voice is forced, a defense against the weight of what we're about to do. His hand extends, and I take it, letting him guide me to where Mrs. Chen and his attorney wait with smiles that suggest they think this is romantic rather than transactional. The drive to the courthouse is silent. Matthias holds my hand, his thumb tracing absent patterns on my palm, and I can't tell if it's for show or something else. There's no one here to perform for, but he does it anyway. "You can still back out," he says quietly. "Right up until we sign the papers. No judgment, no penalty. Can you?" "No, I need this." His honesty is stark. "But you have more to lose. Your freedom, 6 months of your life, an association with things you'd probably rather not be associated with. If you're having doubts, I'm not." I squeeze his hand. "I'm scared, but I'm not backing out. We made a deal. This is more than a deal now. You know that, right?" "I do know. Somewhere between the gallery and this moment, between contracts and practiced intimacy, this has become something more complex than a simple business arrangement. But neither of us seems ready to name what that something is. The courthouse is efficient and impersonal. We're directed to a small office where a clerk sits behind a desk covered with paperwork. Matthias's attorney, a sharp-eyed woman named Patricia, has already filed everything. All that's left is the signing. "Driver's licenses. Please," the clerk says, barely looking up. We hand them over, and I watch her type our information into a system that will legally bind us together for the next 6 months. It feels surreal, too easy. Shouldn't marriage require more than signatures and processing fees? "Witnesses?" the clerk asks. Mrs. Chen and Patricia step forward, and the clerk walks us through the ceremony. It's perfunctory, stripped of romance. "Do you take this person? I do. Do you take this person? I do. By the power vested in me, you may kiss." Matthias's hand frames my face, gentle and careful. "Is this okay?" he whispers, quiet enough that only I hear. I nod, and he kisses me. It's brief, chaste, and appropriate for a courthouse with witnesses, but I feel it everywhere. A spark of something that shouldn't exist in a fake marriage. We sign the license. Patricia and Mrs. Chen sign as witnesses. The clerk stamps everything official, hands us a certified copy, and just like that, it's done. I'm married, Mrs. Elena Cade, at least on paper. "Congratulations," Patricia says, shaking both our hands. The prenuptial agreement is filed and sealed. Everything is exactly as discussed. Outside, the rain has stopped, leaving everything wet and shining. Matthias keeps his arm around me as we walk to the car, and I realize he's trembling slightly. "Are you okay?" I ask. "I just legally married someone. That's not something I ever thought I'd do." He helps me into the car and slides in beside me. Even if it's temporary, even if it's business, it's still real. The drive home is quiet again, but different this time, weighted with the reality of what we've just done. Thomas, the driver, offers congratulations that we accept with polite smiles. At the house, Mrs. Chen has prepared a small celebration. Champagne, a beautiful cake, and flowers everywhere. It's touching and heartbreaking at the same time, because it's for a wedding that isn't real, a marriage that has an expiration date. "I know this isn't a traditional wedding," Mrs. Chen says, her eyes bright. "But you deserve to celebrate. Both of you. We toast with champagne that costs more than most people's monthly rent. Cut the cake while Mrs. Chen takes photos on her phone. Play the parts of newlyweds so convincingly that I almost believe it myself. When Mrs. Chen finally retreats, leaving us alone in the dining room with cake and champagne, Matthias loosens his tie and exhales heavily. Well, we did it. We did. I sip champagne and let the bubbles ground me. What happens now? Now we prepare for the Volkov wedding tomorrow. That's where this gets real, where we face the people who matter. He refills both our glasses. But tonight we can just breathe, process, adjust to being legally married. Even though it's fake. Is it? His eyes meet mine, and there's something vulnerable in them. The license is real. The legal obligations are real. The fact that you're now my wife in every way that matters to the government and anyone who checks, that's all real, Elena. But the feelings aren't. The relationship isn't. I say it like I'm convincing myself. Aren't they? He moves closer, and I smell his cologne and feel the heat of him. We've spent every day together for a week. I know you take your coffee black, that you read before bed, and that you're terrified of disappointing people. You know I cook when I'm stressed, that I run at 5 a.m., that I hate my business but haven't figured out how to escape it. That's not the same as what? Love? He laughs, but there's no humor in it. No, we're not in love. But we're not strangers anymore either. We're something in between. And I think that's what makes this work. The honesty steals my breath. Matthias, I'm not asking for anything, he interrupts. Not trying to change our arrangement. Just acknowledging that this is more complicated than the contracts suggest. Before I can respond, his phone buzzes. He glances at it and his expression hardens. What's wrong? Text from Volkov's people. Change of plans for tomorrow. He reads the message, and I watch tension build in his shoulders. The wedding has been moved to a private estate outside the city. More intimate setting, they say. Closer scrutiny is what they mean. Is that bad? It means Volkov is being more careful than expected, wants to observe people in a controlled environment. He sets down the phone. It means we need to be absolutely perfect tomorrow. No mistakes. No slips. The weight of it settles over the room, crushing the brief moment of honest vulnerability we'd shared. I should prepare, I say, standing. Go over everything again. Make sure I'm ready. Elena, wait. He catches my hand. I meant what I said earlier, about this being more than business, but I also meant what I said about boundaries. We can acknowledge it's complicated and still maintain the professional distance we need. Can we? Because it doesn't feel very professional when you kiss me, even if it's for show. No, he admits. It doesn't. But we're intelligent adults who can separate performance from reality. Are we, though? I pull my hand free gently, because I'm not sure I know the difference anymore. I leave him there with champagne and wedding cake, climbing the stairs to my room that's beautiful and comfortable and completely temporary. The marriage certificate sits in my purse, official and binding. Mrs. Elena Cade for the next 6 months. I change out of the cream dress, hanging it carefully in the closet where it joins all the other costumes for this elaborate performance. In comfortable clothes, I sit at the window and watch evening fall over the garden. My phone buzzes. A text from my mother, whom I'd called earlier with the news. I'm so happy for you, sweetheart. He sounds wonderful. When can I meet him? Guilt crashes through me. She thinks this is real, that I've found someone who loves me, that her dying daughter has at least found happiness before the end. I've lied to everyone, but lying to her feels like the worst betrayal. I type back. Soon, Mom. He's excited to meet you too. More lies built on lies. A knock at my door interrupts my spiral. When I open it, Matthias stands there, still in his suit pants, but he's removed the jacket and tie. He looks tired and vulnerable in ways I haven't seen before. I brought you something, he says, holding out a small velvet box. Inside is a delicate necklace, a simple pendant with a single diamond. It's beautiful, understated, and exactly my taste, even though I never told him what that was. It's tradition to give your wife something on your wedding day, he explains. Even if the wedding is fake, some traditions feel important. I let him fasten it around my neck, his fingers warm against my skin. In the mirror, we look like what we're pretending to be, a couple on their wedding night, comfortable and intimate. Thank you, I whisper. It's beautiful. You're welcome. He doesn't step away immediately. Tomorrow is going to be intense. The Volkov wedding, meeting his family, being scrutinized by people who are experts at reading deception. But you can do this, Elena. You've already proven that. And if I can't, if someone sees through us, then we adapt, improvise, find another way. His hands settle on my shoulders, grounding me. But I don't think that will happen. You're better at this than you believe. He leaves me with the necklace and renewed anxiety about tomorrow. I prepare for bed, going through the motions of an ordinary Friday night that's anything but ordinary. I'm married now, legally bound to a man who operates in shadows, who's hired me to play a role, and who looks at me sometimes like I'm more than just an employee. Tomorrow, I meet the people who could expose everything. Tomorrow, the real performance begins. And somewhere beneath the fear and anxiety, there's a small, traitorous part of me that's excited. That wants to prove I can do this, that I can navigate his world, that I can be the wife he needs, even if it's all pretend. I fall asleep with my hand on the necklace, the ring glinting in moonlight, and dreams of possibilities I shouldn't be considering. The morning of the Volkov wedding arrives with crystalline autumn sunshine, the kind of day that seems designed for celebrations. I wake early, nerves thrumming through my body like electricity. Today is the real test. Today I step fully into Matthias's world and hope I don't shatter the illusion we've so carefully constructed. Mrs. Chen brings breakfast, but I can only manage coffee and a piece of toast. She notices my anxiety and pats my hand with maternal warmth. You'll be wonderful, dear. Just stay close to Mr. Cade and be yourself. If only it were that simple. Sophie arrives at 9 with the dress we'd selected for this event. It's stunning, a floor-length gown in deep emerald silk that drapes like water, elegant without being ostentatious, expensive without screaming wealth. Exactly the right balance for a Mafia wedding where everyone is watching everyone else. The hair and makeup team works for 2 hours, transforming me into someone who looks like she belongs among the powerful and dangerous. My dark hair is swept into an elegant updo. My makeup sophisticated but not overdone. Diamond earrings that match the necklace Matthias gave me yesterday complete the look. When I see myself in the mirror, I barely recognize the woman staring back. She looks confident and polished, like someone who's comfortable in this world. The performance is so complete, even I almost believe it. Matthias waits downstairs, and when he sees me, he actually stops mid-sentence in his conversation with Thomas. He's in a tuxedo, black and perfectly tailored, looking dangerous and elegant in equal measure. "Elena," he says, and there's something in his voice that makes my pulse jump. "You look incredible. Thank you. You're not so bad yourself." Sophie fusses with my dress one final time, ensuring everything is perfect. Remember, the wedding starts at 2, but the custom is to arrive early for the pre-ceremony reception. You'll have time to meet people and establish yourself before the formal events begin. In the car, Matthias takes my hand, and I realize his palms are slightly damp. He's nervous too, which somehow makes me feel better. "Tell me again," I say. "Everything I need to know about Volkov." Konstantin Volkov, 63, originally from Moscow. Made his fortune in shipping and logistics, though there are rumors of less legitimate ventures in his past. Matthias's thumb traces circles on my palm. He's traditional, values family above everything, respects strength but appreciates discretion. His daughter Anastasia is 26, marrying a man named Dmitry Sokolov, who comes from another established family. And I'm supposed to be charming but not overly friendly, respectful but not submissive. Show that you're intelligent, but know when to defer to me in business matters. He squeezes my hand. "Mostly just be yourself, Elena. That's what's worked so far." The estate is 40 minutes outside Chicago, accessed through gates that require security clearance. As we drive up the long approach, I see the house, and my breath catches. It's enormous, a modern interpretation of a Russian palace with columns and ornate details, surrounded by manicured grounds that stretch for acres. "This is where they're having the wedding?" I whisper. "Volkov owns it. Uses it for family gatherings and business that requires privacy." Matthias helps me from the car, his hand settling at the small of my back. "Stay close to me. Don't wander off alone. And if anyone makes you uncomfortable, tell me immediately." We join a stream of guests moving toward the house, and I'm struck by how everyone seems to know each other. Greetings are exchanged in multiple languages, mostly Russian and English. The men are in tuxedos, the women in gowns that probably cost more than my old annual salary. This is wealth and power concentrated in one place, and I've never felt more out of my depth. "Matthias Cade." A booming voice cuts through the crowd, and a large man approaches with arms extended. He's in his 60s, silver-haired, with the kind of presence that makes people step aside automatically. "Konstantin," Matthias says warmly. accepting the embrace. Thank you for the invitation. Congratulations on Anastasia's wedding. Yes, she's finally settling down. Volkov's eyes land on me, assessing. And this must be the wife you've been hiding from us. Elena, this is Konstantin Volkov. Konstantin, my wife, Elena. I extend my hand, but Volkov pulls me into a hug that's surprisingly gentle for a man his size. Beautiful. Matthias, you've been keeping secrets. How long married? Just a month, Matthias says smoothly. We kept it quiet. We wanted privacy before the circus of public announcements. Smart man. Privacy is precious in our world. Volkov releases me, but his eyes remain sharp, searching. You're not from our circles, Elena, I can tell. What do you do? I worked in rare books, I say, sticking to our prepared story. Though I've stepped back recently to support Matthias's ventures. Rare books. Fascinating. My wife collects first editions. You must meet her. She'll be delighted. He claps Matthias on the shoulder. Come, both of you. Let me introduce you properly. The next hour is a whirlwind of introductions. Russian businessmen and their wives and associates from various industries, all moving in Volkov's orbit. I smile, make small talk, and remember names and faces while Matthias's hand remains a constant presence at my back. I meet Volkov's wife, Svetlana, an elegant woman in her 50s who's indeed thrilled to discuss rare books. We talk for 20 minutes about first editions and preservation techniques, and I see approval in her eyes when I demonstrate actual knowledge rather than just polite interest. You've done well, Matthias, she tells him later. She's not just beautiful. She's intelligent. Rare combination in our world. Matthias pulls me closer. I'm aware of how fortunate I am. The way he says it, the warmth in his voice, feels almost real. Or maybe I'm just getting too good at pretending. The ceremony itself is elaborate, a blend of Russian Orthodox traditions and modern elegance. Anastasia is stunning in white and gold, and Dmitri is appropriately serious and adoring. I watch them exchange vows in Russian and English, and something tightens in my chest. This is a real wedding. Real vows, real commitment, and real love are evident in how they look at each other. Everything mine isn't. Matthias's hand finds mine during the ceremony, fingers lacing together. When I glance at him, he's watching me rather than the couple at the altar. The expression on his face is unreadable and complicated. The reception is held in a massive ballroom decorated with thousands of white roses and crystal that catches light like captured stars. There's a full orchestra, tables laden with Russian delicacies and French champagne, and enough wealth on display to feed a small country. We're seated at a table with other business associates, and I navigate conversations about art, literature, travel, and anything except the actual business these men conduct. The wives include me easily, and I realize they're all performing too, playing the role of supportive spouse while carefully not acknowledging what their husbands actually do. Dance with me, Matthias says when the music starts, extending his hand. On the dance floor, his arms come around me with practiced ease. We've never danced together, but somehow we fit. He leads confidently, and I follow, our bodies finding a rhythm that feels natural. You're doing amazing, he murmurs against my hair. Svetlana loves you. Konstantin is impressed. Everyone believes we're genuinely married. Maybe we're too good at pretending. Or maybe it's not entirely pretending anymore. His arms tighten slightly. Elena, I need to tell you something. What? Before he can answer, someone cuts in. A younger man, maybe 30, with cold eyes and an aggressive smile. Cade, you don't mind if I borrow your beautiful wife for one dance? Everything in Matthias's body language says he does mind, but refusing would be a social misstep. Of course. Elena, this is Alexei Volkov, Konstantin's nephew. Alexei takes my hand with slightly too much pressure and pulls me into a dance position that's closer than appropriate. Matthias returns to our table, but I can feel him watching. So, Elena Cade, Alexei says, his English accented but clear. You're very new to our world. Very sudden appearance. Matthias and I kept our relationship private. Yes, so I hear. Very private. So private that no one knew you existed until last week. His smile doesn't reach his eyes. Forgive me, but that seems convenient. Matthias needs to appear settled and stable. And suddenly he has a wife. Perfect timing. My heart hammers, but I keep my expression neutral. I don't follow your implication. Don't you? A man like Cade, he plays long games, makes strategic moves. And you, appearing from nowhere with a convenient story about rare books and wanting privacy. Alexei leans closer. I think you're a very pretty piece on a chessboard, Elena. The question is, do you know you're being played? I think you're being incredibly rude to someone you just met. I'm being honest. Rare in our world. The music swells and he spins me expertly. But perhaps you do know. Perhaps you're playing your own game. Either way, you should be careful. Men like Cade, they use people. And when they're done, those people tend to disappear. The song ends, and Matthias is there immediately, his hand firm on my elbow. Alexei, always a pleasure. His voice is ice. Elena, Konstantin wants to introduce us to some associates. He guides me away, and I feel Alexei's eyes following us. What did he say to you? Matthias asks once we're out of earshot. That I'm a convenient chess piece. That you use people and discard them. I look up at him. That I should be careful of you. Something dark crosses Matthias's face. Alexei is bitter because his uncle prefers doing business with me over him. He's trying to create doubt, to wedge distance between us. Is he wrong, though, about you using people? Matthias stops walking and turns to face me fully. Around us, the reception continues, but we exist in a bubble of tension. I've used people in my business, yes. Made strategic decisions that benefited me at others' expense. That's the world I operate in. His hands frame my face, gentle despite the intensity in his eyes. But this, us, you? That's different. You're not a chess piece, Elena. You're... What? I don't know yet, but you're not that. He drops his hands, steps back, and rebuilds the professional distance. Come on, Volkov is waiting. The rest of the reception passes in a blur. More introductions, more performances, more careful navigation of conversations laden with subtext. By the time we're in the car heading home, I'm exhausted from the constant vigilance. You were perfect, Matthias says in the darkness. Everyone bought it completely. Even Alexei's suspicions don't matter because Konstantin and Svetlana are convinced. Good. That's good. I lean my head against the window and watch Chicago's lights approach. Matthias, what were you going to tell me? Before Alexei interrupted. He's quiet for so long I think he won't answer. Then, softly. This arrangement might have started as business, but somewhere along the way, you became someone I actually care about. Someone whose happiness and safety matter beyond the contract. The confession hangs in the air between us. Dangerous and honest. That's complicated, I whisper. I know. The arrangement has an end date. I know that too. So what do we do with that information? He takes my hand and brings it to his lips in a gesture that's achingly tender. We finish what we started. We honor the contract. And then, when 6 months are up, we see what's real and what was performance. It's not a declaration of love, not a promise of forever, but it's honest, and right now that feels like enough. At home, he walks me to my door and we stand in the hallway like awkward teenagers. Thank you, he says, for today, for everything. You were extraordinary. I had a good partner. He leans in slowly, giving me time to pull away. When I don't, he kisses me. It's different from the courthouse kiss, deeper, more real. When we break apart, we're both breathing hard. Good night, Elena, he says, his voice rough. Good night, Matthias. I close the door and lean against it, my fingers touching my lips. 6 months suddenly feels both too long and not nearly long enough. The week after the Volkov wedding settles into an unexpected rhythm. Matthias and I navigate this strange new normal where we're legally married, publicly committed, and privately trying to maintain boundaries that feel increasingly artificial. Monday morning, I wake to find a note slid under my door. Meeting with Volkov this afternoon. Need you there. Business lunch, 2 p.m. Dress professionally. M. I find him in his study, already dressed in a slate gray suit, working through emails with the focused intensity I've come to recognize. Morning, I say from the doorway. Your note was cryptic. He looks up and something softens in his expression. Good morning. Coffee's fresh in the kitchen. And sorry for the short notice. Volkov called an hour ago and wants to discuss the partnership details. He specifically requested you be there. Me? Why? Because in his world, wives are part of business decisions. Svetlana sits in on all his major negotiations. Matthias stands and moves around the desk. It's actually a sign of respect. He sees you as my partner, not just decoration. But I don't know anything about your actual business. You know enough, and you're smart enough to follow along, ask intelligent questions, and make me look good. He pours coffee for both of us. Plus, you impressed Svetlana. That carries significant weight with Konstantin. The meeting is at a private club in the financial district, the kind of place with leather chairs and oil paintings of dead rich men. Konstantin waits in a private room, Svetlana beside him, both dressed impeccably. Matthias, Elena, welcome. Konstantin embraces us both. Please sit. We have much to discuss. The next 2 hours are an education in how legitimate and illegitimate businesses blur together. Konstantin talks about shipping routes, distribution networks, and supply chain optimization. On the surface, it's legal commerce, but the subtext is clear. He's offering Matthias access to infrastructure that can move anything, anywhere, no questions asked. The beauty of this arrangement, Konstantin explains, is that we both benefit. You need reliable channels for your European operations. I need a trusted partner in the American market. Together, we build something substantial. What are the terms? Matthias asks, always direct. 20% equity stake in your import operations. In exchange, you get full access to my distribution network, priority shipping, and protection under the Volkov name. Konstantin pours vodka, despite it being barely afternoon. Plus family rates on all transactions. Significant savings over what you're paying now. Matthias considers this, and I watch him calculate. 20% is substantial. So is what I'm offering. Konstantin turns to me. Elena, you're quiet. What do you think? I wasn't expecting to be asked, but I recover quickly. I think partnerships work best when both parties contribute equally. What happens if Matthias's operations grow significantly? Does the equity stake remain fixed, or does it scale? Konstantin's eyebrows rise, impressed. Smart question. It remains fixed, which means if Matthias's business doubles, I benefit proportionally without additional investment. Then perhaps the equity should be performance-based, I suggest carefully, tied to specific growth metrics rather than a flat percentage. That way the partnership remains balanced as circumstances change. Silence stretches for a moment, and I wonder if I've overstepped. Then Konstantin laughs, a booming sound that fills the room. Matthias, your wife is dangerous. Svetlana, did you hear that? Performance-based equity. He slaps the table. I like it. Yes. Let's discuss that structure. The conversation shifts, becoming more complex as they negotiate terms. Svetlana and I are drawn into a side discussion about estate planning and asset protection, and I realize she's teaching me, showing me how wives in this world actually operate, the power they wield behind the scenes. Men think they run everything, Svetlana says quietly, while our husbands argue over percentage points. But smart women ensure the foundations are solid. You protect Matthias's interests, even when he doesn't realize he needs protecting. I'm still learning this world, I admit. You're learning fast, and you have good instincts. She pats my hand. Konstantin likes you. That means this partnership will happen, but more importantly, I like you. That means you have an ally. By the time we leave, Matthias has agreed to 15% equity with performance escalators, and Konstantin has access to 3 of Matthias's East Coast distribution points. Everyone seems satisfied, and I'm exhausted from the mental gymnastics of following it all. In the car, Matthias is quiet until we're several blocks away. Then he takes my hand and brings it to his lips. That was incredible. The performance-based equity suggestion saved me millions in the long term. I didn't know if I was overstepping. You were advocating for your husband's interests. That's exactly what you should have been doing. He keeps my hand, his thumb tracing patterns. You're a natural at this, Elena. Better than you realize. Is that good or bad? I don't know yet, but it's useful. The words sting slightly, a reminder that this is still ultimately business. I pull my hand back gently. That evening, I'm in the library reading when Matthias finds me. He's changed into jeans and a sweater, his hair slightly damp from a shower. Can we talk? He asks. Of course. He settles into the chair across from me, and I can see tension in his shoulders. I need to tell you something. About my business, about what I actually do. I know the agreement was that you wouldn't ask questions, but after today, after you helped negotiate that deal, I think you deserve more honesty. You don't have to. I want to. He leans forward, elbows on his knees. The import business is real, but it's also a cover. What I actually do is facilitate transactions between organizations that can't do business through traditional channels. Sometimes that's luxury goods with questionable provenance. Sometimes it's moving money for people who need it laundered. Sometimes it's brokering deals between families who are technically rivals. You're a middleman for criminal organizations. Yes, but I'm also trying to transition out of that. The Volkov partnership gives me legitimate infrastructure. In 5 years, maybe less, I could be running a completely legal operation. That's the goal. And until then, I navigate gray areas and sometimes cross into black ones. I've done things I'm not proud of, Elena. Made choices that kept people safe but weren't exactly moral. His eyes meet mine. I'm telling you this because you're in deep enough now that you deserve to know what you're really part of. I process this. The weight of his honesty. Have you killed anyone? No. I've ordered people hurt, threatened, and intimidated. But I've never personally killed anyone, and I've never ordered a death. He pauses. I know that's a thin line to some people, that violence is violence regardless of degree. It is a thin line, but it's still a line. I close my book and give him my full attention. Thank you for telling me, for trusting me with the truth. You earned that trust. Today, and every day since we started this. He stands and moves to the window. There's something else. Alexei Volkov, the man who danced with you at the wedding. He's been making inquiries about you. Cold settles in my stomach. What kind of inquiries? Background checks, trying to verify our story. He's suspicious, and he's the type to act on suspicion. Matthias turns back to me. I need you to be extra careful. Don't go anywhere alone, and don't talk to anyone I haven't vetted. If Alexei finds inconsistencies in our story, he'll use them against me with Constantine. What would that mean? At best, a damaged reputation and a failed partnership. At worst, Constantine believed I tried to deceive him, which in his world is an insult that requires a response. The implications hang heavy. I'll be careful. I promise. Good. He crosses to me, pulls me to standing, his hands warm on my arms. Elena, I meant what I said in the car after the wedding. You've become more than the arrangement, more than business. And that terrifies me because it makes you a vulnerability I can't afford. Then maybe we should reinforce the boundaries. Go back to professional distance. Probably. His hand comes up, traces my jaw, but I don't want to. Matthias. He kisses me, and this time there's nothing careful or restrained about it. It's hungry, desperate, the culmination of weeks of tension and proximity and pretending. I kiss him back, my hands fisting in his sweater. All the reasons this is a bad idea forgotten in the heat of wanting him. We break apart, breathing hard, foreheads pressed together. This is complicated, I whisper. Everything about this is complicated. His thumb brushes my bottom lip. But I'm done pretending I don't want you. Done maintaining professional distance when we're alone. What about the arrangement? The contract? The contract says you pretend to be my wife for 6 months. It doesn't say we can't make parts of it real if we both want that. His eyes search mine. Do you want that? I should say no. Should maintain the clarity of a business arrangement with defined terms and an expiration date. I should protect myself from getting hurt when this ends. Instead, I pull him back down to kiss me again. We end up on the library couch, tangled together, discovering each other with hands and mouths and breathless need. He's careful, constantly checking that I'm okay, that this is what I want. And I am okay, more than okay, because this feels right in ways I can't explain. Later, we lie together in the quiet, his arm around me, my head on his chest. What does this mean? I ask quietly, I don't know, but we have time to figure it out. His fingers trace patterns on my shoulder. 4 more months until the arrangement ends. We can see where this goes. No pressure, no expectations beyond what we already agreed to. And if it ends badly, then we part as planned, and you still get everything the contract promised. He kisses the top of my head. But Elena, I don't think it will end badly. I think we might be building something real here. I want to believe him, want to trust that this isn't just proximity and performance creating the illusion of connection. But I'm also smart enough to know that temporary arrangements rarely turn into permanent ones. That men like Matthias operate in worlds that eventually consume everything soft and genuine. I'm scared, I admit. Me too. But let's be scared together. We stay like that, until Mrs. Chen's discreet cough from the doorway announces that dinner is ready. We separate, straighten clothes, and rebuild the appearance of propriety. But something fundamental has shifted between us. At dinner, Matthias holds my hand above the table instead of hidden beneath it. Tell Mrs. Chen we'll take coffee in the library together afterward. Looks at me with open affection, rather than carefully controlled performance. It feels dangerous and exhilarating, and exactly like falling for someone you know you shouldn't. That night, I lie in my bed alone, touching the necklace he gave me and the ring on my finger, and wonder if I'm making the best decision of my life or the worst. My phone buzzes with a message from him, even though he's just down the hall. Thank you for trusting me. Sleep well, wife. The word wife used to feel like a costume. Now it feels like something I might want to keep. I text back, good night, husband. And despite everything I know about the temporary nature of this arrangement, I fall asleep smiling. The next 3 weeks unfold like a dream I'm afraid to wake from. Matthias and I settle into a rhythm that blurs every boundary we tried to maintain. We have breakfast together, work side by side in his study, and attend dinners and events as the perfectly matched couple everyone believes us to be. And at night, more often than not, I end up in his room or he in mine. The pretense of separate bedrooms abandoned. This wasn't the arrangement, I say one morning, wrapped in his sheets while early sunlight streams through the windows. No, it wasn't. His arm tightens around me. Are you complaining? I don't know what I am. I trace patterns on his chest, feeling the steady beat of his heart. Confused, maybe. This was supposed to be simple. Nothing about us has ever been simple. He kisses my temple. But Elena, I need you to know something. What's happening between us is not just convenience or proximity. I have genuine feelings for you. The words send warmth and terror through me in equal measure. Matthias, you don't have to say it back. I just need you to know that whatever happens when the 6 months are up, what I feel is real. Before I can respond, his phone buzzes. He glances at it and his expression shifts immediately from soft to hard. What's wrong? Alexei, he's escalating his investigation into you. Matthias sits up, reading the message from someone on his security team. He's been to your old neighborhood, talked to people at the bookstore, and pulled records from the hospital where your mother was treated. Cold floods through me. Can he find anything that contradicts our story? It's not about when we met. That's airtight. But he might find enough to make Constantine question the timeline and wonder why I kept you hidden so long. He's already dressing, the tender moment completely shattered. I need to handle this. How? By having a very direct conversation with Alexei about boundaries and consequences. The dangerous edge is back in his voice, the criminal I sometimes forget he is. Get dressed. We're going out. Where? To remind certain people that I'm not someone to underestimate. An hour later, we're in a warehouse district I don't recognize. Matthias leads me inside a building that looks abandoned, but clearly isn't. Men I've never seen appear from shadows, all armed, all deferential to Matthias. Boss, one says. He's in the back office. Alexei Volkov sits in a chair that's been bolted to the floor, his hands zip-tied in front of him. He's roughed up, sporting a split lip and the beginning of a black eye, but his expression is defiant. Cade, I wondered when you'd show up. His eyes land on me. And you brought the prize. How sweet. Elena, wait outside, Matthias says. But I don't move. No. If this is about me, I should be here. Something like approval flickers in Matthias's expression before he turns his attention to Alexei. You've been making inquiries about my wife. That stops now. Or what? You'll kill me? I'm Constantine's nephew. That would be monumentally stupid even for you. I won't kill you. But I will make you wish I had. Matthias crouches to Alexei's level. You're going to call off your investigation. You're going to tell your uncle that you were wrong, that Elena and I are exactly what we appear to be. And you're going to do it because if you don't, I'll expose every shady deal you've made behind Constantine's back. Alexei's face goes pale. You're bluffing, am I? Matthias pulls out his phone and shows him something. 3 separate transactions where you skimmed money from your uncle's operations. 2 deals with the Bratva that Constantine specifically forbade. And my personal favorite, the mistress you're keeping in a condo your wife doesn't know about. How did you... I'm very good at what I do. And unlike you, I don't underestimate my opponents. Matthias stands. So here's what happens. You call Constantine right now, clear Elena's name, and I forget this evidence exists. Or you keep digging, and I send everything to your uncle, and let him decide what to do with a nephew who steals from family. Alexei looks between us, calculating odds. Finally he nods. Fine, but this isn't overcade. Yes, it is. Matthias cuts the zip ties himself. Because if you ever threaten my wife again, evidence won't save you. Nothing will. In the car afterward, I'm shaking from adrenaline. You had him kidnapped and beaten. I had him detained and encouraged to cooperate. There's a difference. Is there? I turn to face him. Matthias, he could go to the police. Report assault, kidnapping, all of it. He won't. Because then he'd have to explain why. And that would expose him to Constantine's wrath. Matthias takes my hand. I know this is ugly, Elena. This is the part of my world I usually keep you away from. But you needed to see it. Needed to understand what I'm capable of when someone threatens what's mine. I'm not a possession. No. You're infinitely more valuable than that. He brings my hand to his lips. You're the person I care about most in this world. And I will do whatever it takes to protect you. The intensity in his voice should frighten me. Instead, it makes me feel safer than I have in months. That night, Constantine calls to apologize. Alexei had confessed to inappropriate suspicions, Constantine explains. He assures Matthias that his nephew has been reprimanded and won't cause further problems. Crisis averted, Matthias says, hanging up. The partnership is secure. We're in his study, he at his desk, me curled in the leather chair I've claimed as mine during our work sessions. The past few weeks I've been helping him organize legitimate business operations, using my accounting background to streamline systems. Can I ask you something? I say always. The evidence you had on Alexei. How long have you known about his activities? 6 months. I make it my business to know everything about everyone I deal with. He closes his laptop. Knowledge is the most valuable currency in my world. Do you have files on everyone? Including me? I did. Had you thoroughly investigated before I offered the arrangement? His honesty is stark. But I deleted it all after we got married. Whatever you were before doesn't matter anymore. Only who you are now. And who am I now? He stands and moves around the desk to crouch in front of my chair. You're my wife. My partner. The person who makes me want to be better than I've been. His hands frame my face. You're the reason I'm actually committed to transitioning out of the illegal operations. Because I want a future that includes you. And that future can't exist if I'm constantly looking over my shoulder. Matthias, we still have 3 months left on the arrangement. What if nothing? I love you, Elena. The words hang in the air, stark and honest. I know it's fast. I know the circumstances are strange, but it's true. I love you, my breath catches. You can't know that. It's only been a month. I've known it for weeks. Probably knew it that first night when you agreed to this insane arrangement, and trusted me despite having every reason not to. He kisses me softly. You don't have to say it back. But I needed you to know. Tears blur my vision because the truth is I've felt it too. Somewhere between performance and reality, I've fallen completely for this complicated, dangerous, unexpectedly tender man. I love you too, I whisper, and that terrifies me. Good, we can be terrified together. He pulls me from the chair, and we end up on the couch, where we'd first crossed the line from pretend to real. This time there's no hesitation, no uncertainty, just need honesty, and the overwhelming relief of finally admitting what we've both been feeling. Later, wrapped in each other, he says, when the 6 months are up, I want you to stay. Not because of the contract, not because of money, because you want to be here with me. What about your transition to legitimate business? Will that actually happen? It's already happening. The Volkov partnership is 90% legal operations. I'm systematically closing down the questionable channels, transferring assets to legitimate ventures. His fingers trace patterns on my shoulder. In a year, maybe less, I'll be completely clean. Legal businessman with a past I've left behind. And you think that's possible? That you can just walk away from this world? With the right motivation, yes. And you're the right motivation. He tilts my chin up. Build a life with me, Elena. A real one, not the performance we started with. I want to believe him. Want to trust that this impossible arrangement can transform into something lasting and real. But I'm also aware that we're still in the middle of the 6 months, still performing for the outside world, still navigating complications that don't have easy solutions. Ask me again when the contract is up, I say. When we're not bound by legal agreements and performance requirements. Ask me then if I want to stay. Fair enough. He kisses the top of my head. But I already know your answer. Do you? Yes, because you love me too. And love doesn't have an expiration date, even if contracts do. The confidence in his voice makes me smile despite my lingering doubts. Maybe he's right. Maybe we've built something real enough to survive. The end of our arrangement, or maybe we're both so good at pretending that we've convinced ourselves the performance is genuine. Only time will tell which version is true. 3 months later, I stand in the same gallery where this all began. But everything has changed. The charity event tonight is one Matthias and I are hosting together, benefiting literacy programs in underserved communities. My idea, his funding, and our first truly collaborative project that has nothing to do with the arrangement that brought us together. You look beautiful, Matthias says, adjusting his cufflinks as we prepare to greet guests. He's in a midnight blue suit that makes his eyes look darker and more intense. And nervous. Why nervous? Because tonight matters. These programs could change lives. And I want everything to be perfect. It will be. He takes my hand and kisses my knuckles. You've planned every detail flawlessly. Just enjoy it. The gallery fills with Chicago's elite, the same crowd that was here 6 months ago when Matthias first approached me. But now I'm not the uncertain outsider in borrowed shoes. I'm Mrs. Elena Cade, confident and comfortable in a world I've learned to navigate. Claire finds me during the cocktail hour, pulling me aside with wide eyes. Okay, I need the full story. Last time I saw you, you were broke and miserable. Now you're married to possibly the most eligible man in Chicago and hosting charity galas? I told her a version of the truth. That Matthias and I had reconnected after that first meeting, that things had moved quickly, that we'd kept it private. Not the whole truth, but enough. Life moves fast sometimes, I say, squeezing her hand. I'm happy, Claire. Really happy. You look it. He looks at you like you're the only person in the room. She glances at Matthias across the gallery, deep in conversation with Konstantin Volkov. Just tell me he treats you well. He does. Better than I imagined possible. The event is a success. We raised twice our initial goal, secure commitments for ongoing support, and I watch kids from the programs we're funding read their own poetry on stage. Matthias stands beside me the entire time, his hand at my lower back, pride evident in how he introduces me to everyone. Your wife's initiative is remarkable, Konstantin tells him. Svetlana is already talking about similar programs in our community. Elena has a gift for seeing what needs to be done and making it happen, Matthias says, and the love in his voice is unmistakable. Later, after the last guests have departed and we're alone in the quiet gallery, Matthias pulls me close. The 6 months are up tomorrow, he says quietly. The contract expires. The arrangement officially ends. My heart hammers. We've been so caught up in building a life together that I'd almost forgotten the deadline. I know. So I'm asking now, not as part of any agreement, not bound by contracts or obligations. He takes both my hands. Elena Russo, will you stay married to me? Not for show, not for business, because you want to build a life with me. The life we've already started building? That one. And whatever comes next. His thumb traces my wedding ring, the one that's become so familiar I forget it's there. I meant what I said about going legitimate. Last week I closed the final questionable operation. Everything I do now is legal, documented, and clean. I'm out, Elena, completely out. Tears blur my vision. You really did it. For you. For us. For the future I want to be with you. He pulls a small box from his pocket. I know you already have a ring, but that one was part of the performance. This one is real. Inside is a simple band with a single perfect diamond. Elegant and understated. Exactly my taste, Matthias. I love you. Not pretend love, not convenient love. Real, complicated, forever love. He slides the new ring on beside the original. Marry me again, Elena. This time because you choose it. I look at this man who started as a desperate proposal in a gallery, who became my husband through contracts and performance, and who somehow transformed into the person I trust most in the world. Yes, I whisper. Yes, I choose you. I choose us. I choose this life we've built from impossible circumstances. When he kisses me, it tastes like new beginnings and second chances, like the ending of one story and the start of another. So what happens now? I ask when we break apart. Now we live. Really live, not perform. He keeps me close, swaying gently to music only we can hear. We build the legitimate business, support causes that matter, and maybe start a family when we're ready. We have a normal life, Elena, or as normal as we can manage. Normal sounds perfect. We leave the gallery hand in hand, walking into a future that's ours to write. No contracts, no arrangements, no expiration dates. Just two people who found each other in impossible circumstances and decided to keep choosing each other every day after. The performance is over. The real marriage begins now, and I've never been more certain of anything in my life.